So welcome to week 4 of Yoga Moving into Happiness. And today we're all about awareness. And with that, we're talking about being in the present moment and focusing sort of mindfully on how our bodies move, noticing what our thoughts are coming up, and trying to notice without judgment. And we've already been doing this a little bit throughout the weeks. I think practice of yoga is perfect to really get into that mindful space. But yeah, trying to build an awareness of how we are and being okay with it. So when we think about moving towards happiness, it's not that we discard everything that is challenging. It's that we try and sit with it rather than trying to push it away, and we just accept what is here. And that is about that building up that mindful awareness of what's going on so that we can move forwards supporting ourselves. So try to remember that this morning with the movement, that if it's not feeling like it's supporting you and how you're feeling today, then just come to laying down or do something different. So moving with intention to support how your body is feeling this morning. So I'm going to pass you over to Rosalind, who is going to go through our little meditation, which is perfect for that building awareness. And then she'll add in the little journal question as well.
That's great. Thank you, Laura. Have you pinned me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Morning, everybody. So let's settle in then for our meditation as usual. So you might want to grab your journals as well and pens if you need them, or any blankets, or I guess you don't need many blankets this morning, but if you're lying down on something. But so you can do this meditation seated, or you can do it lying down, or as I said before, if you're in discomfort, you could stand and lean on the wall or whatever. But finding a comfy spot for you so that we can really just take a few minutes to drop in. And as Laura says, the theme this week is awareness, but obviously we've been doing that every week because meditation and yoga they're both essentially awareness practices. So this is very familiar to you. So we're going to just do our little baseline check-in, and we're going to check in with 4 channels. I like to think of them as my radio channels, like check in with my breath, check in with my thoughts. Those are the ones I'm most familiar with, but then I check in with my feelings and my body, ones that I maybe don't always check in with. So, sorry, Laura was there then. So once you've got a comfy position, you might want to close your eyes, or you can leave them open and finding a spot on your carpet or your floor. And let's just start by taking a few deep breaths. So maybe take 3 breaths. And that can be in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Let's just make the breath a little bit longer than usual. And then just allowing the breath to settle into a natural rhythm. And then we're just going to bring more focus to the breath. So bringing attention to the breath and starting to notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving the nostrils. So you might want to just bring your attention maybe to the tip of the nose, maybe to the upper lip, See if you can just notice that sensation. Maybe there's some slightly cooler air coming in, maybe it feels warmer inside your nose. See if you can start to notice those whole sensations that we never really take any notice of, and we might think are just not interesting or worthwhile, but this is what's happening right in the present moment. It's never in the past, it's never in the future. It's like the breath's always giving us life right here, right now. So just inviting the breath, just watching the breath as it comes in through the nose, and maybe follow it down through into the body. Maybe notice how far it comes into the body. You get a sense of the chest rising and falling slightly. Maybe even your abdomen is rising and falling slightly. And all we're doing is just noticing. So this is awareness of the breath. And if the mind starts to wander, as it will, we're just gently bringing the focus back to the breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just letting the air travel. Just letting it infuse the whole body. And then we're just going to let the breath do its thing. We're going to just shift our awareness to thoughts. Again, I like to think of thoughts as a thinking stream. It's like thoughts are endlessly coming and going. You might think of the stream of a river, or you might think of clouds floating by in the sky, whatever works for you. And the important thing is that we're bringing more awareness to thoughts. So we're not trying to change them right now or judge them. We're not trying to act on them. Still be here when we've ended the session. So we're just saying hello. Okay, I see you. I notice you. I'm just letting the thoughts come and go. And of course, we'll always be tempted to run off on a thought and like follow it up and start doing the problem solving or making a shopping list or whatever it is. But you can just acknowledge the thought and let it drift away. Just bring the focus back. And just come back to your breath again if you're getting caught in the stories of the mind. The most important thing is that we're just giving ourselves a little space from the thoughts. We're watching them rather than jumping into them. This is a practice. We're always practicing. Some days it's easier. Some days we don't feel like we've got any awareness at all. And all of that's fine, and that's part of the noticing as well. Just noticing, how is it for you today? Just taking a little check-in. And next we're going to make a little transition into feelings. So see if you can bring awareness again to the feelings channel. What's that like this morning? Is it like Radio 1? Is it like Radio 3? Is it like Sports Live or football? Just noticing your feelings. And how do you know you've got feelings? Where do they live? Maybe there's feelings you know about that are very familiar. Maybe there's other feelings, emotions that are more hidden, quiet, gentle, they're all welcome. You're just giving them some awareness, some attention without, we don't even have to name what they are, judge them, just observing. You're just allowing that observing part of yourself to just notice feelings coming and going. And the invitation is to accept them, and some days you're not going to accept them. That's okay too. Just noticing, how is it for me today? How can I be with my feelings today? Is it easy and soft, or is it really uncomfortable? And then just letting the feelings channel carry on. We're just going to make another little shift, attention into the body. And let's do a little gentle body scan. Today, let's start from the tips of the toes. So just bringing awareness right down to your feet, down to the tips of the toes. You might want to give your toes a little wiggle to say hello. Just noticing, how is that to be aware of your toes without looking at them, without even having a mind's eye image of your toes. Can you just sense into your toes? You feel into your toes. Are there any sensations available to you there? Maybe you can notice the temperature, or maybe there's some contact with the ground. Let's just gently start to scan our awareness up through the feet, including the whole of the feet, into the ankles, just into that whole space in between your ankle bones. Gently scanning up through your lower legs, through your arms, your shins, all that space inside, into your knees. You can really sense into your knees, into the knee joints, into the space inside the knees. Gradually just coming up through the thighs, the front of the legs, the back of the legs, inside the legs. What are you noticing here today? Any sensations that are available to you? Tension, warm, tingling, maybe there's blankness. Whatever's here is okay. Maybe there's some discomfort. You might want to breathe into your discomfort and you can just imagine releasing the tension with every exhale. And let's keep moving up the body through the pelvic bowl, buttocks, the abdomen, including the sacrum, right into the centre of the belly, just including all of the lower half of the body, gradually coming up through the torso, including your rib cage, all your organs, into your chest. Gradually coming up into your shoulder girdle, including the whole of the bony structure of your shoulder girdle, collarbones, and everything inside the body. And the back to the shoulder blades and the whole of the back, the whole of the spine. Just including the whole of the torso. And then let's include your upper arms, so coming off your shoulders, down your arms, into your elbows, to your forearms, into those lovely bracelets of bones around your wrists. Can you notice inside your wrists? And right through into your hands, through into your fingertips, right to the ends of your fingertips. And then let's come back up to the shoulder girdle and right up through the neck, including throat to the back of the neck, right inside the neck, and then up into the skull, to the back of the skull, top, sides, forehead, and then the whole of the bony facial structure, cheekbones, your jaws, brow bone, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and right inside your head, including your brain, just gently scanning with your awareness. Right up to the top of the head, to the crown. And then just gently taking a moment to sweep down from the crown, back down, through to the tips of the toes, tips of the fingers. Just taking a moment to include awareness of the whole of the body, whole of the soma, the inner body. And then in your own time, your own pace, we're gently going to come back into making a transition into some journaling, if that feels good to you, or you might just want to stay where you are. Soak this up for another minute or two. So you might want to gently open your eyes and just notice where you are. And then if you're reaching for your journal, it's going to offer you a little inquiry question to engage with. So see if this is useful to you. When am I most engaged in the present moment? That's a useful question for your journaling. Please use it, and if not, please do whatever you need to do with your journaling or drawing or moving or sitting still. Just give you a couple of minutes to do this, and then I'll call you back and hand you over to Laura. So just gently bringing that to a close for now. And when you're ready, come back to the screens. I'm just going to hand you over to Laura.
Thank you, Rosalind. Hopefully I've stopped spotlighting Rosalind and I'm spotlighting myself. I should be bigger on people's screens. Is that right? Yeah. It doesn't spotlight me on my screen. Oh yeah, it does say that I've done it. So we spotlighted everybody. Thank you for that, Rosalind. Helping us to come into that present moment. So we shall move on to trying to find that present moment in the body. I shall go back to my mat. And I don't know if you can see, I've got a little visitor on my beanbag. Our cat B at the back, but she doesn't actually like me very much. So I think once I'm back there and start moving about, and if she wakes up and realizes I'm there, she'll shoot out the door. So I've left the door slightly open so she can get out. But if I'm quiet, she might stay there. I don't know. We'll see. So let's think about getting a little bit of movement into our bodies then. Let's go with the shoulders to begin with today. Really getting into the shoulders. So bringing that awareness, like we did with the body scan, right into the body, right into the shoulder joints. How do they feel this morning? And you really take your mind into how they're moving. You slide down the back. You take that movement forward towards the chest. What happens to the chest when you roll the shoulders backwards? And we could do a few forwards just to see how that feels as well. Just how that movement feels a little bit different. Mine don't creak as much when they go forwards than they do when they go back. And then let's go backwards again. My right shoulder is still still making a very crunchy noise when it goes backwards. And then let's draw those shoulders up towards the ears. And then drop them down again. Draw them up towards the ears. And then drop them down. And maybe you bring a breath in with that as well. So you're breathing in as you bring the shoulders up. And then letting go as you bring them down. Breathing in, lifting them up. And then letting them go. Do one more. Breathing in, lifting up. And then go. Let's move into the neck and the head. Just taking some gentle circles. Going in one direction. And then the other direction. And then coming back, center. Let's turn the head. So let's look over one shoulder. Maybe we could be really mindful and bring that awareness in by really taking everything in the room as we turn the head. Really noticing everything in the room. And can you notice it without any judgment? Yeah, for me in here, I've been burning too many candles, and they blow all quite sooty. So I'm like, oh, that wall needs cleaning. So can I drop that sort of chatter and just be present with what's in the room? And then coming back to center, and we drop the ear towards the shoulder, so we get that stretch into the side and the neck. And be aware of how that feels in the body. And back, center, and then the other side. It's also, excuse me, a bit of a frog this morning. Also noticing, where does my mind go when I'm doing these simple movements? Is it still here with the body, or is it going somewhere else? Can I keep bringing it back every time it goes off? So let's again go to the opposite side, and then let's bring a shoulder roll in there as well. We've got the head drop to one shoulder and then roll in the opposite shoulder, noticing how that feels. And then we could make that into a circle if that feels okay with the arm. Notice how that changes the stretch, the neck. So circles one way and then the other way. So all the different parts of our body connected together. And then coming back, center. Just taking a moment again in that center position. Finding that awareness when the body comes back into balance before we go to the opposite side. Noticing that stretch and then rolling that shoulder backward, inward. And then if it feels okay in your body, maybe taking that circle with the arm. And then the opposite way. And back up to center. So let's just take the hands out in front of us and we're just going to circle the wrist. Circling in one way and the opposite way. And you make that figure of 8 with the hands. And you do it the other way. Feels very strange. And then give them a little shake out. And then just a little activity of paying attention to the body. So this is what we're going to try and bring in to the rest of our movement practice. Is taking the hand and just taking a look at the palm. So the palm of the hand. Someone's just decided to ring the doorbell, but my husband is here. Oh, cat's off. Right, I can shut the door now because the cat's gone. Right. So, yeah, trying our best to pay attention just to our hands. So the palm of our hands, can we really take it in? So taking in all the different shades of skin that we might be able to see. Taking in, perhaps you can see the veins. Noticing all the different lines and patterns. But again, we're trying to notice without judgment. So can we look at our hand without judgment? So without that, oh, should have put some hand cream on this morning. Oh, my hands look really wrinkly, or they're dry, or if we turned it over, what would we think about our nails? Would we be content with how our nails look this morning? So we are constantly judging and often judging ourselves. So this is a little activity to just really notice your hand without judgment. Just noticing lines, creases, the veins, maybe using your other hand just to feel into the surface of your hand. And then bringing a little bit of gratitude towards your hand or to both hands. You know, what they've already done for you this morning. And we don't often maybe appreciate them, what they're going to help us with in this class as we move forwards. So just a little bit of thank you to these hands. So that little activity is to try and get us into that awareness space so that when we're moving, we're really with the parts of the body that we're moving, with some acceptance and dropping away that judgment if perhaps we can't move in the way we expected to. Trying to remember that as we get into our movement. So let's take the hands behind us. If we're on the floor, let's take the feet out in front and just rock the knees from side to side. And we can do that on the chair as well. We're sat on the chair, just rocking the knees from side to side. Putting the hands on the back of the chair so you're opening the chest. And then coming to a seated position with the feet on the floor with the knees bent. Could have underneath the thighs or on top of the knees, holding. And then let's take that cat movement. So really rounding the spine, dropping the chin to the chest. And then coming upwards, really stretching the chest forward. So rounding backwards. And then stretching forwards. If we're on the chair, it would look more like this. So we would round forwards by coming forwards, sliding the hands down the shins. And then as we come up, stretch the elbows backwards, really opening the chest. So we could have the arms up here. So working at wherever we are today, just getting some gentle movement into the spine. And let's take one more like that. And then coming into a resting position. So if we're on the chair, we've perhaps got the elbows on the thighs, resting the head. Seated, we could come into a forward fold to just be here, or maybe we've got the legs in butterfly. Or you could even come into your child's pose, so remembering knees onto the knees, maybe spreading the knees wide and coming forward here. Whatever feels right for you. And maybe each time you come to a resting pose, just doing that quick body scan that Rosalind did with us. Just checking in with the body. How does it feel right now? What is in my awareness? Often the things that are perhaps causing us some aches or pains are really strong in our awareness. And then could we maybe use the breath to just be with it? Breathing down into the diaphragm and slowly releasing the breath. As if you could just dissolve any discomfort right now. And your next in-breath, just slowly raising back up. So if you're on the floor, coming to all fours, you could use a cushion for your knees. Just coming into a flat back. I'm going to take hip circles here today. So circling the hips. One direction, shifting over to one side, maybe coming a little bit forwards. You could even do this if the wrists are a problem. You could have the forearms on the floor. Just circling the hip in one direction and then the other. Remember, we can circle those hips on the chair as well. Circling. Body as little or as much feels comfortable for you today. What's in your awareness with this movement? Maybe sticking with our awareness without that judgment, making sure that we go both ways. And then let's come back to flat back, so on all fours. I'll get up and down from the chair, but just on all fours, come into that flat back. And then let's move into that cat movement just with the spine. So the belly, drop the belly, the tail comes up, and we're stretching through the neck. We're really pressing the spine, and then we come into that angry cat. So we're trying to get the movement to come from the tail first, so from right down here in the pelvis. So we tuck that pelvis under and we roll up through the spine, dropping the chin to the chest, pushing through the hands into that angry cat. We're trying to roll through that movement. Can you slow it down and really bring that awareness into every vertebrae of the spine? And from the chair, we could use the arms a little bit more in this round. I'm coming forward, hugging that big beach ball. The belly moves towards the spine, the round in the spine. And then as we come up, we bring those arms into that cactus. We're sliding the shoulder blades back together. Coming forwards. Big beach ball, chin to the chest, round in the spine, and then coming back up. Maybe you can sync the breath as well. So we're breathing in as we come into that happy cat and breathing out as we round forward, arching the spine into that angry cat. And let's take one more of those. And then you might want to rest again off the arms. So maybe you're on a chair again, you come forwards with the head resting on the floor. Maybe you come into that child's pose, and you could even take the elbows onto the floor. If the head comes onto the floor, we could take the hands behind the head. So the palms are together, hands behind the head is an option. It just stretches a little bit into the arms. Or we could bring the fist and just rest the head onto the fist. Whatever feels right for us. Okay. So we did start practicing our downward dog last week, so we shall have a go at that again. I'm demonstrating from all fours first, but then I will do reminders for the chair as well. So just work at where you are today. If you're quite familiar with downward dog and you know what you're doing, then just go ahead. But if we're on the floor, we want to tuck the toes under. We want to take the hands a little bit further forward and probably as a little bit wider than the shoulders. If you've got a mat, if you're on a mat, as probably as wide as your mat, really spreading the fingers and taking some of the weight into the fingertips rather than just being in the heel of the hand. And we're going to tuck the toes under and start to lift the knees, lift the legs, but trying to really move the body back. So you're trying to really get your belly towards the thighs so you've got a really straight spine. They're not necessary to have the legs straight. Trying to take the weight back into the legs so that the hands don't feel so much pressure. So just trying that a few times. If you need to take a rest, bring the knees back down. So if you're doing it that way, just practice a few times, coming up and down at your pace. You can even walk the legs where you're lifting and lowering what the heels. I'm coming up to show from the chair. So remember, we can do it straight from the chair. We could be at a wall and pressing into the wall, but what we're trying to look for is a really elongated spine and really stretching through the spine. So I've got my hands at a sort of my arms even at a 45-degree angle, my head in between my arms, and I've got my hands up. You could be pressing into a wall here, stretching. Or we've got option 3 at the chair. We're bringing the hands onto the chair, but again, trying not to put all our weight into the hands, and then stretching backwards, bottom up into the air, the knees slightly soft, but really stretching through the arms. Again, my head is in between my arms and really stretching through the spine. Just having a go at whichever version is right for you today. And if you're down on the floor, let's move from downward dog into forward fold. So if you're in your downward dog, bringing the hands back to the feet. So we end in forward fold. So again, you could be standing, you could be at the chair in forward fold. You could even rest your head onto the chair, or even with the elbows and the hands for a bit of support. Remember, we've got that nice softness in the knees. We want to always avoid locking the knees back. We're in that forward fold, and then we really, really gently come up to standing. So we think about pressing the feet down into the floor, and then we slowly, slowly, slowly roll ourselves up, standing. And then we take a moment in that standing position just to see how that's landed within the body. How do I feel right now? What is pulling my awareness? And if it's something outside of this session, can you draw yourself back when you stood up? Good place to draw yourself back to is your feet pressing down into the floor. So really noticing where you can feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Mine feels very different. My right foot feels quite even, I think, but my left feels like I'm right in the back of my heel. You can then adjust your weight and trying to even out how you're standing. This is like a real micro awareness of the body. And we're going to try something a little bit different today. I don't think we've done this. So can we walk on our heels? So can we bring an awareness to the feet and walk on our heels? So if you're not sure about this and balance, you could stay still and be holding on to the chair. Or if you feel like you don't want to stand at all, then you could just be pressing the heels into the floor. We're working a little bit into, oh gosh, I've forgotten the word now. Reflexology, that's the word I'm looking for. We've got a lot of nerve endings in our feet, so putting pressure on different parts can sort of work into that reflexology, working through different parts of the body. So coming up onto our toes, can we walk on our tiptoes? So we need a little bit of balance for this as well. Thinking about holding in that core. So again, you could just be doing it next to the chair, or you could do it sat on the chair, just pressing the toes into the floor. Again, notice, can you really notice what you're aware of? Where do you feel the weight? Often goes more into the big toe pad, the other toes. And then bit of well, two strange ones. So you might want to try this stood still first. Can you come onto the outside edges of your feet? And can you walk on the outside edges of your feet? It's like a little massage for the feet, really. Back in then on mine. And we could be at the chair, just really pressing into those edges of the feet. I heard the tickling my nose. So yeah, standing or seated, whichever feels right for you. And then last one is obviously the inside edges. How does it feel to walk on the inside edges of the feet? So this as well is helping to keep flexibility in our feet, which as we get older is really helpful for us, because it's our feet and our ankles that are going to help us to keep that stability. You know, if we perhaps lose our balance, they help to correct that and maybe prevent falling. So keeping that mobility in the feet, really important. So yeah, notice how that felt, and then maybe take a little ankle roll. So I'm doing it with the balls of my feet on the floor, just rolling my ankles. And you could do this seated, just going both ways. If it feels okay and you're stood up, can you balance on one foot and just circle the ankles going one way and then the other? And then let's find our mountain with the feet zipped together. So zipping the feet together as much as we can. Got a slight softness in the knees. We're pulling in at the core, tucking that tail under the shoulders back and down, chin tucked in. And then if it feels okay, can we close the eyes? So can we practice our balance here? Feet together. Just noticing that sway. And maybe bringing all our awareness down into the feet. Noticing how the weight just shifts. Our body tries to keep that balance without those eyes, being able to see stillness of the room around us. Just bringing an awareness of how that makes you feel. And this morning, it's making me feel a little bit queasy. If that's the case for you, maybe you want to open your eyes and you don't want to have them closed today. You can still feel that little wobble even with the eyes open. Trusting that your feet have got you. And then let's give them a little shake out. And we're going to practice a new pose today to add on to our little flow. So it's a goddess, which essentially is like doing a squat, really. But there's a couple of tips. It's about trying to keep the back in neutral so that we're not really hurting the lower back. So I'll demonstrate stood up first, and then I'll show what we could do on the chair. So if you stood up, you probably have your feet a little bit wider than hip distance, and you might have the feet turned out at 45 sort of degrees. but this will depend on your knees. And I'm not wearing the best trousers really for people to see my knees today, am I? But when we squat, so we're bending the knees and going downwards. What we want to be doing is the knees want to be tracking the same direction as the feet. So if that's not happening for you, because maybe your body, your knees come in, you need to square your feet a bit more so that your feet are facing forwards. You want your knees to track your feet. If you turn your feet out and your knees are really coming in, then make sure your feet are facing forwards. Hopefully that makes sense. Difficult to do when you can't see people. And then in terms of the squat, I'm turning sideways so you can see me. I'm going straight down and my back is up. I'm sinking down as if I was going to come to a chair. I'm not leaning forwards. What I say is, we're not twerking. There's no twerking going on. We are ballet dancers. We're coming down in a graceful position. The bottom is still tucked under. The back is still upright. The shoulders are back. So coming into a goddess here. And maybe it's just a very gentle goddess today. Just a very slight bend. We don't have to come right down into it. Whatever feels right for you, but goddess pose. And then our arms, we can do many things. We could bring our arms into heart center and have them here. We could open them up into cactus. We could take a mudra. So we could have the thumb and the index finger and open the arms here. So whatever feels right. We're coming out of that whenever feels right for you. I'm just going to demonstrate for the chair. So the chair, we can take the feet wide as feels comfortable. And then what we really want to think about on the chair is squeezing the glutes and squeezing in the tummy muscles. The abs. Yeah, I think that was the word I was looking for. So really squeezing in, so you're activating those muscles here. And then trying to just take deep breaths in this goddess. And then release. And just notice what draws your attention there. So this is a more challenging pose. You might feel it in your knees, you might feel it in your thighs, maybe in your glutes. But yeah, being aware of what draws your attention and then noticing again, do I go into judgment? Whether that's, oh God, this is really hard, or oh, I can't do this. Why can't I do this? Or I'm rubbish because I can't do it. Just noticing what's going on when we do things that are a little bit more challenging. And this is something that we can be aware of in everyday life as well. When things get a little bit challenging, what happens to my awareness and what happens to that perhaps critical thinker that we have going on. So yeah, coming down again, if you feel comfortable in your goddess. I'm going to go for my mudra with my hands here. And then from here, we're going to stretch into star pose. So star pose is just really stretching out fingers as well. Fingers wide, fingers spread, arms wide. And to still make sure the shoulders are down. So if your shoulders are coming up, take the arms out a bit wider. Try to really draw the shoulders down into that star pose. Let's take a big breath here and slow breath out. And then let's come back down into goddess. Down into goddess. Let's see if we can take 3 breaths here. Maybe just counting your own breath. And noticing what happens to our awareness. And then let's stretch up again. And then if it feels okay for you, you could take a little forward fold just to rest from that. So knees soft again, folding forwards. Remember, we could hold the head as well. We could have the elbows onto the thighs. And then let's slowly roll all the way back up. Notice how that feels in the head. Take a little pause maybe. And then we're going to build that goddess onto our little flow. So just as a reminder, I'll just sort of quickly go through it. We've got that salute the sun where we're opening up the chest. Then we've got our little side bends. And then from last week, we've got our balance, so that lifting one leg, opposite arm. And then from there, we'll go open out into star first. So we'll open out into star, come down into goddess, come back up into star, and then close back together, finishing back at heart center. So we'll do that 3 times. And our little mantra today for when we open up into that salute the sun is I am present. I am present. So finding your mountain position, you might have the feet slightly apart, reminding yourself that we can do this from the chair. Let's draw those shoulders back and down, lifting from the crown of the head. Let's take a moment to notice the breath. How are we breathing right now? And then let's open up into that salute the sun. I am present. Coming back down, heart center, then lifting up overhead. Take a side bend over to one side, back to center, to the opposite side, back to center. Bring the hands back through heart center before we come into our standing balance, remembering to pull in the core, lifting one arm, one leg, back down, the other arm and leg, back down. Let's open up into star pose, down into goddess, back up into star, and then coming back together through heart center. So we'll do it 3 times. So in the movement part of yoga, we do use a lot of flows because that's really part of getting us into that awareness space and into sort of a moving meditation. So let's go again. We can sync the breath as well if we want to. So let's breathe in and open up. I am present. And breathing out as we bring the hands back together. Breathing in to bring the hands up. Breathing out, let's take that side bend. Breathing in, back to center. Breathing out, the opposite side. Breathing in, back to center. Breathing out as you bring the hands back down. Then carrying on with that flow, breathing in as you lift. And breathing out, back to center. Breathing in to lift. And breathing out, back to center. Breathing in as you open up into that star, remembering that mantra, I am present. And then breathing out down into goddess. Take a full breath here. Breathing in again to lift up into the star. And breathing out as we close back together. One more time. Settle in the breath. Breathing in as we open. I am present. Breathing out as we come back down to heart. Breathing in, lifting the hands up. Breathing out. To one side, back up to center. And to the opposite side. Back up to center. Coming back through heart center. Going into our balance. Oh, I'm doing the wrong hand. Lifting one leg. And back down. So opposite arm, opposite leg. And back to center. Opening up into star pose. Coming down into your goddess. Taking a breath here. Stretching back up again. And then closing together. And then finding some stillness there. Where is your awareness right now? Bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the chest. Bringing that awareness into the breath. How are you breathing right now? Where can you feel the movement of the breath? Being aware of, in these quiet moments, again, where the mind goes. We bring it back to our bodies, just breathing here. And then bringing the hands back down. So taking a forward fold and a downward dog to come back to the floor, if that's for you. Remember, we could do it at the chair again and just have a little stretch of the spine on the chair. Or if we're coming to the floor, we could walk the hands, bend the knees, walk the hands back out. Take a little stretch here. And then bring ourselves back into a child's pose. Whatever feels right for us. Maybe we've got the head on the floor, or we've got the head into the hands. Maybe we've got the head into the hands on the chair. And then let's just take a little last movement for the spine. So if you're on the floor, let's come to our backs and just windscreen wipering the legs from side to side. If you're sat on the chair, let's move the top half of the body rather than the legs. So it would look like this. If you're on the chair, let's move the torso rather than the legs. So on the floor, we're windscreen wipering the legs. On the chair, we're moving the torso. And then taking a pause at each side. So if you're on the floor, resting the legs down to one side, just resting in that twist. Coming back to center. And then the opposite way. And back to center. And then bringing an awareness into your body. Is there anything that you feel needs to move again before we come to stillness again? You need to take a little wriggle. You need to move the shoulders, the neck. What do you need to move before we come back to stillness? And just before I hand back over to Rosalind, let's just start really pay attention to the breath. If we can, really thinking about taking really deep breath down into the diaphragm. So we should be able to, if we had the hand on the upper belly, we'd be able to feel the hand moving and expanding as we breathe in. And then can we slowly breathe out through the mouth? Making pursed lip, just really slowly releasing that breath, feeling the hand release. So breathing in to feel the hand rise. And then slow breath out. Feel the hand fall. Let's take one more breath like this. Make sure that Rosalind is pinned. And then I'll hand back over to Rosalind. So just letting the breath do whatever it wants to now. And coming to a place that you can. You're on silent, you're on mute.
Lovely, thank you, Laura. Okay, so just for this last few minutes of our closing meditation then, let's continue with this lovely work that Laura's dropped us into, and let's bring our awareness into our senses. So you can stay where you are, you can lie down, you can be seated, whatever works for you. I'm going to invite you into some touch. So tuning into the sense of touch. So just taking a moment wherever you are, if you want to close your eyes, pop them half open, whatever works for you. Just getting yourself comfy. If you need anything to cover you over, to the yoga. We can just check in with the breath again. And then let's just invite our sense of touch to the fore. So wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying, let's start with our hands, and let's find some surface to contact within easy reach of your hands. So it might be the carpet if you're lying on the floor, it might be your chair. Just see if you can find like something close by, could be anything, but maybe some surface. And just inviting very slowly, just inviting the hands to maybe sweep across. I'm just stroking my carpet here, just very slowly, just moving my hands back and forth across the carpet, and just noticing the sensations between the hands, between the cat and the carpet or the chair, or whatever you're in contact with. And just see if you can notice what that's like. And it might be quite difficult to put into words because we're not often very attentive to sensations like this, but just see what you notice. And you might want to just for a moment just speed that up a bit and see how that changes it. Just a little bit faster movement. See how that kind of sense of, is there some friction there? Is there a little bit more of heat? Is it warm? Warm the hands up. And then just gently letting that go, just letting it release. You can just bring your hands together. So in front of you or top of your body. Just bringing your hands together, might be in like the prayer position, or just clasped or whatever. But just see if you can press the hands together really gently. And just see if you can notice how is that different to the previous surface. So just, again, maybe pressing a little bit harder, maybe pressing the fingertips together, maybe pressing different parts of the hands together. So I've got the heels pressing together, heels of my hands pressing together now. Bony ridge. Let the fingers really have some pressure. And then maybe try some sliding, one hand over the other. And just see if you can get that sense of what's that like, that sense of touch. Hand to hand, skin to skin. Just noticing, bringing all your awareness to it. And then maybe taking that a step further and maybe just, how is it to just bring that sense of touch with one hand down one arm. Maybe just gently stroking the arm, sliding down the back of the arm. And then the inside of the forearm. How's that to just stroke down the inside of your forearm? See if what that's like if you're stroking your skin. You've got long sleeves on. What's that like to just stroke the texture of your clothing? And just noticing how your breath is as you're kind of doing this really gentle stroking movement. And then maybe I want to shift into a little bit of pressure. Got my hands on each shoulder, tops of my arms. And just making some contact here with both hands, both arms. You can do that however you like. Maybe just some squeezing, just a little bit of pressure. Maybe again moving down the arms. What's that like to feel the firmness of the hand and maybe noticing the soft tissue of your arms. And then maybe if you can manage, you might want to press your hands into each elbow. Maybe you want to try one at a time, or if you can manage both together. So I've just got my hands squeezing both elbows. And just see what that's like to just giving those elbows a little bit of, tiny little bit of massage there. Just what's that like to feel the boniness of your tips of your elbows. Just noticing these different textures, different qualities. Just noticing the breath, how that is as you're making these different kinds of contact. And then maybe let that go. And then just bring maybe your hands down so they're resting on the legs or resting on the body, wherever you are. And just feel some contact with your clothes. Again, there might be a little bit of stroking or sliding, holding. So Just what's that like to feel? Feel the hand, if you can find somewhere where you've got hands and clothes and then body beneath clothes. See if you can feel that sense of layers, textures. And then finally, let's come back to hands to body. So bringing the one hand to the chest, one hand to the belly, just as we were earlier. And just breathing in and out. And just this time, as well as you've got this rising and falling of the body, the breath, so you can just notice that sense of contact, sense of touch, hand to body. Just notice what that's like if you bringing a hand to the body, bringing awareness to that contact, to that touch. Maybe just see if you can get a sense of, well, how does that support you? How does that feel to just bring a warm hand to the body? See if you can notice the temperature of the body and the hand, and that sense of where do they meet? Where does one end and the other begin? Just allowing that sense of touch to be a source of nourishment, actually. So body loves touch. And then we're just going to let all that go. And we're just in our own time, we're just going to take a minute to just bring ourselves back into the space. Gently opening your eyes if they're closed, maybe giving yourself a little scan of the room to reorient. And then if you feel to, you might want to come back to the screen for the closing moments with Laura. And I'm just going to hand back over to you, Laura.
Thank you, Rosalind. Enjoyed that. So maybe just gently bringing yourself back round. Reminding yourself that you've got those journals there if you feel like there's something you want to journal right now about the experience of today's class, or you could go to it after we've finished. Just bringing the body back round, whatever way feels right for you. So that's that awareness again. What do I need to move in my body? Do I need to move my shoulders, my neck again? Do I need to twist my spine? Whatever feels right for you. Come back together. And I'll close our session by bringing the hands together with that energy rub. But again, can we bring that awareness into the hands? Often we do this energy rub and the brain has already taken us to what we're doing next. So can you bring an awareness to the heat that you're creating, to how it feels, the friction of the two hands rubbing together, sound maybe of the hands, and then bringing that energy, that heat into the eyes, really letting that soak in. Taking a big breath in and slow breath out. Bringing the hands down to heart center. And thank you for joining me. Namaste. And our challenge for this week is to try and create some pauses and notice that awareness. Am I in the present moment? So trying to really pause and bring an awareness. the present moment, whatever it is that's there.